Thank you for making Nigeria proud. President Buhari plays host to immediate past President of the United Nations General Assembly. Federal government to fulfill part of its financial obligations to the Academic Staff Union of Universities as dialogue between the two parties continues next week.
The climate change is real and there has to be more effort, more concerted effort.
Nigeria marks World Food Day with a 5% drop on food security in the face of COVID-19.
People will go back to the farm in a more organized, a more value-driven way.
Plus, towards rebuilding the Northeast, Commission redirects youths to till the land for job creation. Hello and thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. We are live in Abuja. I am Jummai Yusuf. Tonight, Adiola will be reading with me from the Center of Excellence, Lagos. You're welcome. We'll begin with the presidency, as President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed Nigeria's formal appreciation to the immediate past President of the United Nations General Assembly, Professor Tijani Mohammed Bande, for making the nation proud. This was while granting audience to the astute diplomat who is also the country's permanent representative to the United Nations. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
Professor Mohammed Bande was in the State House to formally express gratitude and appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari and the entire nation for supporting him in his year-long tenure as President of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He thanked the Nigerian leader for giving him a chance to serve and the subsequent support. Professor Tijani Bande said the Nigerian leader not only gave him an assignment, but also the trust, leadership and whatever he needed to succeed. President Muhammadu Buhari said the nation's diplomat had an opportunity to serve and indeed did so well. He takes pride in the fact that by a sort of coincidence, Professor Bande and Ambassador Amina Muhammad, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, served at the same time, saying he felt so proud to see his countryman and woman sitting side by side, taking charge of affairs when he addressed the United Nations General Assembly last year. Having been reappointed, Professor Mohammed Bande continues in his position as Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations General Assembly in New York. President Buhari used the opportunity to ask for patience and understanding of the country's development process, explaining that it is something that takes time. He, however, expressed optimism that advances in technology, education, and experience will help to speed up the process. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA.
Now, various issues of mutual concern dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari played host to his Senegalese counterpart, Macky Sall, and that of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the two visiting leaders applauded President Buhari for his leadership and genuine commitment to peace and stability across the West African sub-region.
This is the first time President Muhammadu Buhari is hosting two West African leaders since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. Reasons for their visit to Nigeria were not made public, and the high-level discussions held with President Muhammadu Buhari took place behind closed doors. NTA News, however, learned that issues of common interest between their countries were discussed, as well as those affecting the West African sub-region and the entire continent of Africa. Addressing newsmen shortly after, both President Macky Sall of Senegal and that of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, were full of gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for his sincerity of purpose and selfless leadership in the sub-region.
I want to salute the great action of Nigeria against Boko Haram and how Nigeria is supporting the cost of this war, even in all the Chad Basin area. And also his support in ECOWAS, because in Mali, in Niger, and Burkina Faso, we have a very serious situation.
We say thank you very much, President Buhari. We call him Baba. I give this name because his leadership makes some difference in the world. And I have for him in my heart, honest man.
President Embalo recently named a major road in his country's capital city, Bissau, after President Buhari as a mark of appreciation for his enormous contributions to peace, stability, security, and democratic enterprise in Guinea-Bissau. The three West African leaders also discussed the present situation in Mali, which President Buhari had earlier described as welcoming and reassuring.
As you know, ECOWAS was very involved since the beginning. They have 18 months transition, so we help and continue to support this transition, and we hope by the end of December of next year, they will come back to the normal institutional situation, and they will have election, and they can come back very strong.
Key officials of the governments of Nigeria, Senegal, and Guinea-Bissau supported their leaders during the high-level engagement that lasted about 1.5 hours. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
To other matters now, it is election season in the West African region, and Guinea is up next, with voters heading to the polls on Sunday to elect a president. The incumbent President Alpha Condé is hoping to pull a repeat of his victory in 2015 to clinch a third term of another 6 years. His ever-consistent political rival, Cellou Diallo, is banking on a surge in votes by undecided youth voters to spring a surprise in the outcome of Sunday's vote. We'll now go over to Conakry, where our man Nnamdi Odibo is standing by. Nnamdi, if you can hear me, we're joining you by Zoom. What is the general ambience in Conakry just days to the election amidst, they say, tension, pitching two former rivals, together in this election?
Well, Jummai, thank you so much for joining me. But in the hours leading to when the electioneering campaigns would officially peak, well, of course, I'm talking about midnight later today. And so, as expected, there's been a lot of excitement in Conakry, where I've been monitored events in the last couple of hours. And I can tell you that the parties have been quite active. They've been out there on the road, singing, dancing with their supporters. I mean, you see the two main parties. But let me just quickly say this, that there are about 13 candidates participating in the presidential polls, 11 males and 2 females. But as we see play out in most parts of not just Africa, most parts of the world, there are 2 giants, 2 leading candidates in the current polls, in the current election. I'm talking about the incumbent president, Alpha Condé, and his political rival. He has been his rival for a couple of years now, as a matter of fact, since 2010, and I mean Cellou Diallo of the opposition party. The campaigns have been fierce. It's expected. Guinea apparently has a very active political space. The people are quite passionate about politics here. We know a bit about their background and how things have been in Guinea, the military incursions, of long-term military involvement and engagement in politics. And then Diallo's emergence in 2010 formally signaled the transition to democracy officially. I mean, it was conducted in a peaceful manner and it was quite celebrated. He's looking forward to clinching a third term in office, I beg your pardon, and we do know how that played out. There was a referendum a couple of months back, sometime in March, where the constitution was amended to allow him to participate in this election. That is still up for debate. It's still part of what people are talking about in the town, Jummai, and we don't know how that will play out, whether to help him or whether that will work against him, but we're looking forward to how things play out come Sunday, Jummai.
Okay, Nnamdi, they said the constitution was changed for him to contest for a third term. That's another 6 years. He's 82 now. And the opposition is saying the international community is turning the other eye to threat to democracy in that country. What's your take on that?
Well, Jummai, like we know, you would recall that it was a referendum and it was put out there, but something quite interesting played out. We saw the opposition pull out from the referendum, and of course that made way for Alpha Conde to take the floor. Literally, his people, his supporters just voted for him, and it was a smooth sail for him, to participate in this election because he more or less had no opposition against him in the referendum. But of course, Jummai, there are a lot of strong points going for the president despite his age. We do know that he is well known. Before now, he was quite acclaimed as a reformist economist. And we also do know that he has been able to manage the military in that country. A lot of people would say that should work for him. Well, talking about what could work against him, well, there have been aggrieved and dissenting voices. Well, maybe that will come to play and work against him. There's also the fact that, despite the fact that the economy rebounded a couple of months back, it's not looking that good anymore. And so there are also people who are aggrieved about that. But then he's been able to lead Guinea out of recession, between 2010 and now. And, that should also go for something, Jummai.
Okay, thank you so much, Nnamdi, for your input. We'll be expecting more from you as the election progresses. Thank you so much for joining us. Back home, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has solicited the assistance of Pakistan in building Nigeria's defense industry, especially in the production of weapons. He was speaking at a meeting with a delegation from the Pakistani Senate. Ignatius Onko reports.
Inter-parliamentary visit from the Pakistani legislature to the National Assembly. Chairman of the Pakistani Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, Hussein Saeed, led the delegation of senators to the President of the Senate. Senator Lawan, who acknowledged Nigeria-Pakistan 60-year-old relations, commended the South Asian country for her support in the fight against insurgents in Nigeria, as he also called for more assistance.
In the area of helping Nigeria to build our defense industry, we started together in the 70s. For some reasons, we are still struggling to get stronger in the area of manufacturing or producing our needed defense weapons.
You against the Boko Haram and we against the Pakistan Taliban. 75,000 Pakistani soldiers and civilians have been martyred in this war. And we did it on our own, like you did it on our own. And when we supported you with small arms and other weapons.
The visit was primarily to seek Nigeria's support for the chairman of the Pakistani Senate, Mohammed Sadiq Sanjirani, who is vying for the office of President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union in November this year.
What we require in IPU is reforming IPU to make it more robust and vibrant candidature as far as the Nigerian Senate is concerned.
For the first time in the history of the Global Parliamentary Association, its election will be conducted virtually from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
To security matters now, the Directorate of Defense Media Operations, DMO, says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has neutralized several Islamic State of West Africa province elements and destroyed their hideouts at Tudun-Wulgo and Tumbingini on the fringes of Lake Chad in Borno State. Coordinator of the DMO, Major General John Enenche, in a statement, explained this was achieved through airstrikes executed on 15th October 2020 as part of a new subsidiary operation tagged Wutar Tapki, after a series of aerial surveillance missions, and indicate that the two locations were being used as a staging area where some ISWAP leaders and their fighters planned and launched attacks. Following this confirmation, the Air Task Force dispatched Nigerian Air Force fighter jets and helicopter gunships to engage the two locations, scoring accurate hits on the target areas, destroying some structures and neutralizing several of the terrorists. The federal government has reaffirmed resolve to adopt strategies necessary to ensure all crimes bedeviling parts of the country are fully eradicated and put to a hold. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola said this at a town hall meeting on stakeholders' engagement in internal security and conflict resolution held in Katsina State. Howell Aliru reports.
hall meeting, which was convened by the Federal Ministry of Interior in collaboration with the Ministry of Police Affairs, engaged critical stakeholders with a view to identifying from them the root causes of security challenges. Minister of Interior Rauf Arebisola said the federal government is concerned over security situation in the northwest, that President Muhammadu Buhari had given a marching order for them to do whatever necessary to put an end to the activities of criminals in the region.
The stakeholders in their own words, eliciting from them how we will support the process of containing and eliminating those challenges.
We bring out a robust conflict resolution mechanism to engender security, peace and cordiality among various groups in Nigeria.
For Governor Aminu Bello Masari, the stakeholders' engagement town hall meeting was an addition to the Katsina State government efforts to addressing the insecurity situation in the state.
Anything about security, we give it the priority it deserves.
The stakeholders' engagement meeting indicates a continued partnership to ensuring that policies are formulated for effective maintenance of law and order in the country. Awal Haleru, NTA News.
The gradual failing of the rich societal norms and values of Africans in preserving the sanctity of a woman is giving critical stakeholders serious concern in the face of increasing abuse of rights of the girl child. This is why the Nigerian Television Authority is leading aggressive media campaign through its Brainchild project, Stand Against Rape and Rapists, to change the narrative. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
We stand against rape. We stand against rape. We stand against rape. We stand against rape.
Experiences and emotions thrilled the official launch of the Stand Against Rape and Rapist project, an initiative of the NTA to right the wrongs and give voice to the voiceless.
It should be an opportunity for people to speak up, to show support for victims of rape. You don't know it if you don't feel it.
Now that I have spoken, you are returning me to my uncle who abused me. What happens to me?
If we were to follow the provisions of the Penal Code and Criminal Code by sentencing people to life imprisonment, I'm sure it would have served as a deterrent.
For the NTA to take lead in its new campaign, Stand Against Rape and Rapists, I think we have reached the tip of the iceberg.
The broadcast code especially encourages broadcasters in Nigeria to promote the dignity of womanhood.
Stakeholders lauded the social commitment championed by the NTA and advocate strengthening of existing laws and formulation of policy frameworks to fight emerging challenges of this common enemy. The First Lady and other key players in the End the Rape campaign say the determination to eliminate the social pandemic is a lifetime commitment which requires support of all and sundry.
The resurgence of rape cases in recent times, which has affected many women and girls, even infants, has led to a renewed action from stakeholders, including Future Assured program.
The ministry mobilized wives of the state governors to form a coalition to address the menace of gender-based violence, and especially rape in our country.
The Nigerian Television Authority started its own campaign to ensure the total eradication of sexual and gender-based violence in all its ramifications.
As the unveiling of the new roadmap to achieving maximum protection of the rights of the defenseless begins, the hope of victims and vulnerable persons is for many to take cue from the NTA in defeating the open scourge. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Indeed, a scourge that must be totally eradicated from our society. This is NTA Network News. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Recent genuine concerns and agitations by Nigerians about the excessive use of force and, in some cases, extrajudicial killings and wrongful conduct by men of the Nigerian police force. The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reform in order to ensure that the primary duty of the police and other law enforcement agencies remains the protection of lives and livelihoods of our people. We will also ensure that all those responsible for misconduct or wrongful acts are brought to justice. We also deeply regret the loss of life of the young man in Oyo State during the recent demonstrations. I have directed that the circumstances of his death should be thoroughly investigated. Meanwhile, it is important to recognize that the vast majority of men and women of the police force are hardworking and diligent in performing their duties. The few bad eggs should not be allowed to tarnish the image and reputation of the force.
My tailor don't be your mate. He don't live for your grade. If he knock you a bata, tell no go the hell. Anytime I want to celebrate, he go so the clock he no delay to. He dey sweet me like chocolate. Oh. My tailor no dey disappoint. Oh. Tailor we go Harvard University. Oh yo yo. You don't go the job like a baka. If you see my tailor,
make that switch today and enjoy all calls at 11 kobo per second. Free data on every recharge and double data for 3 months on the network with the widest 4G coverage.
Okay, my tailor.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
For 55 years, Nigerian families have trusted Dettol to protect them from germs. Dettol has played a central role in building a healthy Nigeria, teaching school children around the country to wash their hands and maintain good hygiene, showing new and expectant mothers how to protect their infants from germs. With the government, Dettol has initiated Clean Niger to educate Nigerians on disease prevention practices, also donating resources in times of public health crisis, most recently with the COVID-19 pandemic. As we celebrate the Global Hand Washing Day 2020, Dettol remains committed to the goal of a healthy Nigeria. By washing our hands regularly, we can prevent the spread of illnesses, live full, happy lives.
If you run mad, we know waiting cause am. Every time na this phone. Have you gone to buy more units for light? Give me this phone. Ha! They don't finally get you. Enter store, you go see one pink nylon. Bring and come. If you try am.
Now that chicken where they use can I look me. Now I want to. That one.
Oh. So now why you send me message when no get with this? Shate. Make yourself begin to enjoy credit and data. Berekete.
Introducing Berekete. Activate a new glow SIM and get 600 naira free credit plus 700% bonus on every recharge and up to 100% bonus on data plans. Find your first with Berekete. Glow Unlimited.
Get more out of life with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now. Data is life.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're welcome back. Wednesday, 21st October has been fixed for the continuation of dialogue between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to enable the leadership of the union consult their organs on the offers and agreements reached at this last meeting. Emmanuel Anyemiro has details.
Presenting the outcome of the meeting, Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige said government had pledged to pay the sum of 40 billion naira, being the pending and academic allowance of university teachers. He explained that out of that amount, 30 billion naira would be paid on or before the 6th of November, while the remaining 10 billion naira would be spread equally over 2 tranches to be paid in May 2021 and February 2022. The federal government agreed to fulfill its financial obligations to ASU members, particularly outstanding salaries and allowances. The parties could not agree on the mode of payment. The government side appealed to ASU to enroll on the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System platform in the meantime and migrate back to the University Transparency and Accountability Solution, UTAS, after its efficacy had been proven through the necessary integrity test. The union refused, insisting on being exempted from IPs. The meeting also agreed that if UTAS passes all the different stages of the integrity test, which would involve the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, and the Office of the National Security Advisor, after ascertaining its efficacy, it will be adopted for the payment of the university staff. Government also offered to pay by the end of January 2021 the sum of 20 billion naira as funding for the revitalization of public universities. The president of ASU, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, appealed to government to treat the matter as a national emergency, as the education sector needed urgent intervention. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
To other news now, Nigeria's food production output has dropped by about 5% this year due to COVID-19, flooding, drought, pests and diseases. There is, however, a significant increase in livestock production nationwide. This is included in a survey conducted by Ahmadu Bello University Zaria for Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Details with Musa Baba Aliu.
Environmental issues coupled with COVID-19 were factors that hindered the country's food production output this year. A survey shows that rice production decreased by 3% in 28 states. Maize dropped by 1.5%, with final output estimated at 12.4 million tons. Sorghum decreased by 0.37% and cassava 2.47%. However, soybean production increased from 1.048% to 1.148 million tons.
The climate change is real and there has to be more effort, more concerted effort. We also have to develop a strategy to strengthen the agricultural extension services. And we also have to build a lasting and sustainable grassroots extension delivery institution at federal and state levels.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mahmoud Sabana Nunu, received the report.
We are trying to see what we can do in terms of supporting farmers with seeds and other inputs. And also, we are trying to, as much as possible, to key in the farmers under the economic sustainability facility so that they will be able to have funds that to invest in rice production and also to invest in maize production.
Meanwhile, Nigeria joined the world in celebrating this year's World Food Day, with government promising more support to smallholder farmers. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
For more on World Food Day, I have in the studio Professor Abubakar Othman, Executive Director, National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. You're welcome to NTA Network News.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Your institution conducted a survey that shows a decrease in food production Is this something to be worried about now?
It is not really something to be worried about, because already when we made the presentation before the Honorable Minister, he quickly, responded by direction that we should look at how we can really combat this issue of, decrease, how we can take advantage, because the reasons for the decrease is as a result of the flood in several states, especially in the north. And this flood, how do we take advantage of this? So we already have directed that we should go into dry season, what we call residual moisture irrigation, so that, as the flood is receding, especially in the months of October and November, then we can start the dry season immediately. So that he has already directed NRLS as well as Federal Department of Agricultural Extension to liaise with the ADPs in the affected states, so that we can quickly take advantage of the moisture and then see how we can mobilize farmers and bring out, improved seeds that can withstand this, and then be able to see how we can, bridge the gap of what we are going to lose in the dry season.
Okay, as we celebrate World Food Day, population growth, we have more than 200 million Nigerians now. COVID-19, environmental challenges. How is the country going to cope with, demand for food and supply?
Thank you very much for this question. It is true that Nigeria, when we got independent, we were just about 42 million, and today we are over 200 million, and every month need food. And it's also very true that, producing food is very challenging, not only to Nigeria, to all nations. But one good thing that we should be very happy and be thankful to the Almighty is that Nigeria is very resourceful when it comes to agriculture. In Nigeria, we have rainfall ranging from 700 millimeters to about 4,000 millimeters of rainfall, in the country. And there's no part of this country that we don't have rainfall, at least up to the level of, 500 to 700. So that allows us to produce more than 100 agricultural commodities. So all we need to do is to actually, adopt improved technology so that we can increase our productivity. And I'm sure that if we do that, Nigeria has the potential to even feed the whole of Africa, not only Nigeria.
Yes, we have a potential for years now, more than 3 decades. Agriculture has been on the agenda of every government that comes in. And now this government is trying as much as possible with the anchor borrowers, with all the agricultural initiatives. So how else can government support farmers, to upscale production in a situation like this?
Thank you very much. You see, what we need really to do is that federal government is quite all right, doing very well. But what is out of the state governments? Because agriculture is on concurrent list. But you find that most of the states are not doing very well. Let me tell you that this survey that we have conducted, we found out that in the month of August, about 24 ADPs have not received any kobo for capital that is to do with extension services. So that means that there is no extension services in those states, except perhaps maybe third-party projects and this donor-supported projects.
So you mean the synergy between the federal government and the state government is sort of not there?
Exactly. There has to be. Actually, the issue is that most of the state governments are paying lip services to agriculture. Many of these states, let me tell you that, we look at the extension agent, for instance. In Nigeria, we have just about 12,000 extension agents. And these extension agents are staff of the state governments. And many of them, especially, there are some states that have only 9 extension agents. The only state that you can say you have more than 1,000 extension agents is Kano. So, and the Food Agriculture Organization recommended that the ratio of extension agents should be one extension agent to serve about 500 farmers. But right now, we have a ratio of 1 extension agent to serve about 16,000 farmers, which is practically impossible. And in addition to that, there's no cost, no logistic cost that is supported the extension. And extension services requires a lot of logistics because you cannot do extension in the office. You have to go also to the field. And going out to the field requires that you have to fully have, vehicles or motorcycle or whatever, and you have to have a kind of allowance that at least in the farm or in the field you'll be able to sustain yourself. So this kind of thing, this is one of the issues that is really very challenging, and the state government are not doing well. I must tell you this.
Well, Professor Abubakar Usman, we hope that the recommendations you've given will be taken into consideration. He's the Executive Director, National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Thank you so much for coming on Network News.
Thank you very much. The name is Professor Mohammed Khalid Othman. Thank you very much.
Professor Mohammed Khalid Othman. Thank you very much.
Thank you
so
much
for coming. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has restated the commitment of his administration to ensure self-sufficiency in food production and stability in prices of commodities in the country. Olabode Arewa reports.
The president gave the assurance in a statement at the launch of Outgrow Hunger Nigeria, an initiative of a non-governmental organization, Agricultural Agenda Nigeria Initiative, founded by Mr. Ephraim Odenwige. The campaign was launched on World Food Day, observed on October 16 every year, and this year commemorates the 75th anniversary of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization with the theme, Grow, Nourish, Sustain, Together, Our Actions are Our Future. President Buhari welcomes the campaign, declaring that the objectives and strategies of Outgrow Hunger Nigeria complement government's policies, programs, and efforts on food security. In rising to the challenges, the president affirmed that his administration believes in the efficacy of shared responsibilities because the issue of food security affects everyone. President Buhari directed relevant government ministries, departments, and agencies to explore opportunities from the perspectives of their different mandates to support the campaign. He also called on relevant agencies of states and local governments to join in the campaign to keep its momentum alive during its 2-year span. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
The federal government says it will continue to support and deliver the much-needed assistance to communities affected by flood across the country. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Saidia Umar Farouk, stated this at the distribution of relief materials in Sokoto. Musa Abubakar reports.
This year's flooding experience is one that lingers on the minds of many victims like Aisha Umar, whose house has been affected and farmland submerged. But with the presence of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Saidia Umar Farouk, who came to flag off the distribution of relief materials for these victims, the bad experience for them could soon be forgotten. The relief materials, which includes food items, mattresses, and building materials, are part of assistance directed by the President to activate National Emergency Management Agency to respond in providing necessary assistance to affected persons.
Over the unfortunate incident of the flooding that occurred in the state some few weeks ago, we're here to hand over relief items to the affected communities of the flood.
State Emergency Management Agency has been receiving the items supplied by the federal government.
The minister also launched the federal government cash grant scheme of 20,000 naira for rural women. The grant is expected to increase access to financial capital. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and that of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, visited the Sokoto State Governor and Sultan Mohammed Saad Abubakar. In Sokoto, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
First Lady of Nigeria has distributed 29 hair dryers to women in hairdressing business and 500 maternity kits to young mothers in Benue State through her pet project Future Assured initiative. Aisha Buhari, who was represented by the wife of the Benue State Governor, Dr. Eunice Otom, made the donations in Makudi. Grace Anyalewa Ichekwa has details.
The wife of the Nigerian president, Aisha Buhari, who was represented by the Benue State governor's wife, Dr. Eunice Otom, visited the Federal Medical Center and Bishop Moray Medical Center, all in Makurdi, where she made the symbolic presentation of some items to the mothers and new babies at the health facilities. The beneficiaries, who were full of gratitude, promised to use the items judiciously.
Thank you, and may God bless her. I'll continue to give things like that.
Thank you for Aisha, the president's wife, for this wonderful gift that she has given to us, and may God continue to bless her and keep her.
I am privileged to receive this gift, and may God bless her to always continue to show and extend this hand of kind gesture.
Mrs. Otom says the gesture is to empower young women and youths in the country to reduce youth restiveness. She promised to continue the gesture, noting that beneficiaries should ensure they make maximum use of the items.
The people that have benefited from it are also very happy with her gesture. And we pray that Almighty God will continue to grant her a good heart, will continue to bless her with strength.
At the Government House, Makurdi, Mrs. Otom made a symbolic presentation of 10 hair dryers to 10 beneficiaries. In Makurdi, Grace Anyalewa, Ichepa, NTA News.
To other matters now, the Northeast Development Commission is steadily reconstructing the Northeast region as the federal government intensifies efforts to completely rid the region of insurgents. Emmanuel Akila reports that in Gombe, the commission is turning attention to agriculture and youth empowerment for job creation.
Besides the provision of infrastructure and other amenities, the Northeast Development Commission has the mandate of restoring the agricultural potentials the Northeast region is known for.
We have designed and very integrated agri programs so that our people will go back to the farm in a more organized, a more value-driven way.
The Agricultural Mechanization and Modernization Scheme by the Northeast Development Commission, targeted at restoring agriculture in the Northeast region devastated by insurgency, also provide job opportunity for the youths.
Like I see all these machines now, they were not coupled like this, we are the one that couple it here in Nigeria.
To effectively give the youths a holistic psychosocial therapy, the Commission has set up information communication technology workshops in Gombe, equipped to train the youths to be self-reliant. Civil society organizations have been watching the approach by the NEDC in rebuilding the Northeast region.
They are carrying everybody, every stakeholder is engaged and is involved in the processes.
The Commission inspected facilities for increased opportunities to expand agriculture and the Federal Teaching Hospital Gombe, where it intends to install a polymerized chain reaction machine for testing COVID-19 samples. The Commission is replicating this in the 6 states of the Northeast region. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Still staying in Gombe, Gombe State government and Chinese company have signed a memorandum of understanding for the exploration of the coal deposit in the state to generate electricity power, the report.
Discussions have been concluded, and it is time to translate the agreements into concrete actions. It is about nature's blessings to Gombe State, the abundance of coal, which has been underutilized for decades.
We equally have been watching to see that we harness the coal resources, the coal deposit that we have in Gombe, so that we can generate power and encourage and stimulate development of industries and economic activity.
Besides supporting businesses to help the state economy grow, the value chain in the power generation would help create jobs.
You have so many solid minerals and good human resources, and also eventually you have the coal.
The deal is for the generation of 450 megawatts of electricity, which will be executed in 3 phases of 150 each. Secretary to Gombe State Government, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Njodi, signed for Gombe State, while Mr. King Wigwa signed on behalf of TBEA Company for RC18 Group. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Time now to head to Lagos, where Adiola is standing by with some reports. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Jummai. Thank you.
Against the background of recent agitations by some Nigerians who are calling for outright reformation of the Nigeria police, the Lagos state government has set up a 7-man panel to examine and advise the government on the critical issues raised. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, at a media briefing in Lagos, said the move is part of steps to address the concerns raised by the people. Nosa Osula tells us more.
The 7-man panel would be headed by Justice Doris Okuobi, among other members, which would include Ebun Olu Adegoruwa, while a slot has been reserved for a youth and a human rights activist. The governor, who explained that the panel would first work for a period of 6 months, assured residents of his administration's commitment to defend their rights and take the issue of police misconduct very seriously.
I assure you that even as we stand here today, we have released every single protestant that has been in or in police detention.
On the attack on protesters, the governor condemned the act while making it clear that government was not responsible for the attack.
The BRT bus that was supposedly alleged that transported thugs into the place was a normal scheduled bus.
The governor, who appealed to the youths to embrace peace as 3 of their demands had been met, added that it was time to move on as government had been sincere. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Now, rewarding exceptional teachers with impressive prizes and restoring respect to the teaching profession in Nigeria played out at this year's Maltina Teacher of the Year. Dotun Oguyemi has the report of the 6th edition of awards organized by the Nigerian Brewers PLC, makers of Maltina.
Bumi Anani, an English and literature teacher of Concordia College, Yola, Adamawa State, emerged the Maltina Teacher of the Year. The 2020 winner of the competition smiled home with a grand prize of 6.5 million naira, 1 million naira every year in the next 5 years. That's not all. A fully equipped block of classrooms will be built in a school. The largesse is courtesy of Nigerian Breweries PLC, makers of Maltina.
Imagine a woman having to combine her feminine responsibilities with an intellectual rigor like teaching. Of course, it is heartwarming.
Momentous rewards were also presented to exceptional teachers and their schools at the 6th edition of the Maltina Teacher of the Year. 1,234 teachers were selected from all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Their entries were electronically submitted in an essay form. Minister of State for Education Chukwemeka Nwajuba commended the Nigerian Breweries PLC for the laudable initiative of rewarding outstanding teachers.
We have pledged to provide the platform for its expansion and to make it all-inclusive so that the platform of the government can be used to deploy some of the resources that they have.
Managing Director Nigerian Breweries PLC disclosed that the aim is to invest in various structured interventions towards improving Nigeria's education sector.
We believe that, as in any private company, we have to do our own bit to the society, and we do it through this Felix Oiheri Foundational Trust Fund and through Maltina to promote the best profession in the world, which is teaching.
Since 2015, the Nigerian Breweries Felix Oiheri Education Trust Fund has established and dedicated a significant commitment to celebrating outstanding teachers in Nigeria. In Lagos, Dotun Oguyemi, NTA News.
It's time for us to go on another break. The news will continue thereafter. To stay with us.